Guten Abend and willkommen to Fieldsports Britain here in Germany. Coming up in this week's show, Andy Crow is decoying his namesake over maize. Jonny Crockett prepares a pot hanger and pegs for a forest feast. But first, we're heading off to the range near Zeiss HQ in Wetzlar and then heading out into the forests of Laubach for a traditional driven hunt. Sausages cooked over an open fire. What better way of keeping you fighting fit for a freezing morning down at the range? We're just a few miles from Zeiss HQ in Wetzlar, and magazine editors from as far away as Wisconsin and Pretoria are here as guests of Zeiss Sports Optics. There's a lot to be gained from a trip like this. It allows the shooting press to keep the world up to date with developments, reinforce the quality of the kit, and see how a large traditional German hunt is choreographed. And also a chance for the British contingent, like me and Pete Carr, editor of Sporting Rifle magazine, to get back into the swing of things. So this has been great practice, you know, for someone like me who, you know, I haven't shot driven game for a whole year. You don't really want to be turning up and making any mistakes on the game. So to be able to get a chance to handle the guns, to get used to the lead, get used to the pitch of the animals running and get a bit of practice in a safe environment to get a feel for it is really, really useful. And if you're looking to travel abroad to hunt and you've never had a chance to shoot on a shooting cinema, I'd definitely recommend it. There's also an opportunity for us to carry out a comparison test, and Pete thinks Zeiss's latest Victory HT red dot sight has the march on the Leica.
Oh, there's no comparison at all. Clearly the clarity of the Zeiss and the red dot there, it guides the eye straight into what you're actually shooting at. There's just no comparison whatsoever. Zeiss won hands down.
After the shooting cinema, it's time to put some rounds down the barrel. We've been given the option of using some lead-free ammunition from RWS on this hunt. Some hunting areas in Germany are already lead-free. They certainly seem to be working for Mr. Carr.
That's sporting rifle for you.
Quick while you're ahead though, Pete. I sight in my borrowed Blaser R8 and have a go at the clays. The camera picks up the trace of the bullet as it travels down range. The following day we're at the hunting ground in Laubach. It takes 6 months to put together a shoot like this. 50 journalists, all with a passion for hunting, are here to experience a traditional German hunt. And with so many guns on the ground, safety is of paramount importance. The gathered high-vis hunters are told what's on the quarry list, and more importantly, what isn't. A promising or large red stag would be a very expensive mistake to make, as would shooting a mature mouflon ram. Shooting a roebuck would be an embarrassing error of judgment, especially in front of this crowd. The head forester and man in charge of looking after us is Rudiger. Rudiger, you are the hunt chief for this area in Laubach. How big is the forest here that we've been hunting in?
Also wir haben hier eine Waldfläche von 4.000.
So in total we have 4,200 hectares of forest, and it's divided in 3,900 hectares, which is real forest, and the other part is open area, fields, things like that.
And is this a very big or a typical hunt for this area?
Also wir machen so
These hunts, normally they have 2 big hunts in a year they are doing. This is the biggest one. And all the other people which are helping, they are volunteers and freelancers, just coming here for these 2 events. And they, as a kind of thank you, they can hunt with them, and maybe they can take some of the meat home as a kind of compensation.
We're separated into groups and head off into the forest of Laubach to be shown our home for the next 3 hours. There's strict instructions not to leave the high seat until the end of the drive, no matter what happens. We get comfortable and start willing stuff to appear.
So it's about 5 minutes to 10. Officially the hunt starts at 10 o'clock, but we are live on stand, so if we do see any animals now, we're good to go. But just beautiful. We're up in this high seat, 360 degree shooting, snowy forest, peace and quiet, just waiting for the horn and for the fun to start. So very, very excited.
Very soon some shots ring out across the forest. It builds the excitement with a hint of envy. Then we see some movement. A road is in front, Hidden behind the trees, it crouches down. We can hear the beaters getting nearer, and there are a few roads darting through the forest, but nothing close enough for a shot. Then the beaters and dogs appear, and I put down the rifle as they mill around and regroup.
It's obviously no shooting when the dogs and the beaters are within sight. As always with with this kind of hunting, safety first. So it's a chance to. Oh, the road here. Look, that one that was couched up. That one that we saw before.
The dogs are there to lift the game and push it gently forward, not chase it at high speed like YouTube star Fenton.
Right, the idea is that because they're short-legged, they don't move very fast. They're not trying to make the game run, they're just trying to gently move it through the forest. Because obviously, the faster it goes, the harder it is to shoot, and the more, wound up the game gets. So, yeah, the dogs are pretty slow, especially when there's snow on the ground.
No matter how much we will a sounder of boar to charge through the forest towards us, we don't get a shot. However, our neighbour has been more successful with a nice rhodo. He isn't the only one who's managed to pull the trigger, and there's a mixed bag being prepared for us. There's a lot of red deer, including this 2-year-old stag with an unusual head. It was shot by Belgian journalist Rainer, who was brought up in Scotland.
Seen some stags like that in Scotland, where where the population is good. But I think over here normally they should be better. The body is quite okay, but maybe something has happened. Normally they should have more antlers on their heads, but I have no idea.
As is traditional, there's a ceremony to celebrate the game. Each of the species has its own piece of music, from the red stag to the red fox. All these animals are available to shoot in the UK, apart from the badger for legal reasons, and the mouflon because we haven't got any. Pete thinks it's a great trophy animal.
The German people now view the mouflon as a native species, but it isn't. It's the same as what we do at home. Look on the fallow deer as a native species. It isn't. It was introduced, as was the mouflon. We don't have any in the UK, although we do have one wild sheep species, the sower sheep. Today, I think we've shot 14 today. We're shooting a half curl maximum, otherwise it was going to be big money if we made a mistake and shot one. But it's good to see.
The journalists are allowed to bring their own rifles along for these events, and for a bit of a change, Pete's borrowed a Chapuis double rifle from York Guns. How far can you accurately shoot out with a rifle of this type?
Well, I can shoot an inch group with this at 50 yards. Anything past that, I'd go 60, 70 yards if I was confident with the shot, but each shot's different. But at 50 yards, no problem whatsoever. It's a cracking little piece of kit.
And they're beautiful looking things as well, aren't they?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, definitely.
From the traditional to the controversial, lead-free bullets. RWS have co-sponsored this event, supplying the ammunition. In the UK, where we're still, we're allowed to use lead, that's actually changing in Europe, isn't it? There are going to be certain areas in Germany on certain hunting grounds where you're no longer allowed to use lead ammunition.
Exactly. And in the past, the problem with lead-free ammunition was that it is not working on longer distances. So when velocity goes down, ordinary lead-free constructions are not working. You got kind of a full metal jacket effect.
Okay, so you just get penetration but no power. No
absolutely. Well, no delivered energy, and therefore game kept on running and you had to track it for hundreds and hundreds of meters. And this bullet is made to be working even on 250 meters without any problems. So this bullet kind of solves the problem with lead-free ammunition on longer distances. You see it on this illustration as well. Fragmentation starts, and this is how it looks like when it pushes through.
And it's this bit here that retains the weight and gives
exactly.
you your exit.
Yep. This is the defined body.
Day 2. There's been heavy rainfall and it's much warmer, although still cold enough for plenty of layers sitting up a high seat. Our new location looks promising, and I'm feeling confident.
It rained in the night and there's a lot less snow on the ground. Hopefully that'll allow the animals to move more. We've seen quite a lot of fresh tracks walking from the road to the high stand. So there's quite a positive atmosphere. I think a lot more boar in this area. So yeah, fingers crossed.
I do some quick range finding so I can mentally mark trees and boundaries, and it's not long before we see some game. A group of red deer cross the ride below us, but they're too fast and too far away for me to feel confident at a shot.
It's a group of half a dozen hinds and a spiker. They came through the heavy cover, they were quite close to us, but then they
Next to show up is my own favourite, the boar. It looks big, but again it's too far out of range. It's just such a buzz though. Next to show up is a fox. I spot him early. He crosses the ride and I whistle to stop him. And he drops.
Amazing, they can come from anywhere. That fox, I don't know whether it's the same one that come back up that way, but literally you can have game coming from 360 degrees. Just stopped on the whistle there.
Our lone boar makes another appearance, but he's too fast. We then hear something behind us and it's another group of deer. The big stag finding it hard to keep quiet on the move. Another fox makes an appearance just below us. The 308 finds a target. He runs on, but he doesn't go far. From the same part of the wood, we get a great shot of this roebuck, but no mistakes here, we let him pass. The beaters show up and we down tools until they've gone through. But once out of sight, they shout back that they've spotted some reds coming our way. It's probably the same group again with the big lad. They appear on the ride and I go for the calf in the middle, but I'm not sure how well.
I think so, yeah.
Luckily, it's right at the end of the drive, and Klaus appears asking if we need to follow up on anything. I show him the blood on the ground and he goes back to get Paul, the long-haired Weimaraner.
This is one of the key differences between this type of hunting. Obviously, with animals moving, there are some bad shots, like the one I made earlier. We found an outshot, we found some blood, and this guy is here straight away. As soon as the drive's finished, a few minutes later, here with his blood tracking dog. And we've shown him where the outshot is, and hopefully he's now going to go and follow up and find the injured animal as quickly as possible. And there are these guys all around the forest, so any injured animal are tracked up, dispatched as quickly as possible. And it's one of the kind of the key features of the driven hunt that's alien to UK hunters. Obviously, you know, we're after one shot, clean kill, find the carcass. Here that doesn't always happen. The animals are running, they're hyped up. But this is, you know, this is part and parcel of it, the follow-up work.
The dog is shown the scent and they're off, the pair covering the ground quickly. Then Klaus spots the calf in thick cover and releases Paul. We try and stay with him, and after a few hundred metres we listen for the dog.
I'm glad.
He's across and below from us. Klaus spots him, and as we approach, David is told to hold back, as Paul bites if he thinks he's about to be dispossessed. Klaus makes sure the deer is dead, then takes this once docile looking pooch off the carcass. He's still unhappy about sharing his deer. It's been hot work, but we have our animal. Of course I wanted it to drop on the spot, everybody does. But at least the professionals found this one quickly and efficiently.
This is very...
Back at the base, it looks like it's been another successful drive, and I have 2 foxes and a deer to add to the ceremony. Putting on an event like this is hard work, not to mention costly.
It's interesting for us to note that yourself and Armin and Jan and Marwan are all very passionate hunters yourself. This is what you do on your weekends and for your own enjoyment as well.
Yes, definitely. So me, for example, I love to be in the field to test our products. I'm one of the hardest testing people. If products survive my test, they last forever. And no, you are right, we are very passionate hunter, and whenever we have time, then we try to join together and to join and follow our passion. That's the idea.
And you think it's important for your brand and for your products to be driven by passionate hunters as well as by scientists?
Of course, we need both. You need the scientists for the technology, but you need the hunters for the features, because you must understand what a hunter needs, and that is what we build in our products. So optic is the one side, but make it the way that it enhances the hunter's passion. That is our target, and I think we are doing pretty well.
The driven hunt is such a strong part of German and continental Europe's hunting culture, it's hard not to admire the way they do things. More and more rifle shooters in the UK are choosing to cross the water and give this style of hunting a go. And if you're lucky enough to draw a high seat that delivers, you'll never forget it. From sauerkraut to our own sour puss, here's David on the new Stump.
This is Fieldsports Britain News. First, the appalling school shooting in Sandy Hook, Connecticut, which has left America split on whether to ban guns or not. Democrat senators are said to want a ban on what they call assault weapons, while some Republicans are calling for teachers to be armed. The American president gave his reaction.
And we're going to have to come together and take meaningful action to prevent more tragedies like this, regardless of the politics.
Last week, we reported that just a few hundred of Scotland's 500,000 air rifles were used in crimes last year. This week, the Scottish Government has launched a consultation on airgun licensing. It says it's committed to introducing licensing for low-powered airguns. Anyone with an interest in airgun shooting in Scotland can make their voice heard. For more information, visit basque.org.uk. Meanwhile, the usually animal-loving Daily Mail newspaper has come out strongly in favour of country sports. In an article entitled "How Game Hunting is Thriving Again," the popular newspaper reports that, thanks to the support of a new generation of royals, notably the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge, and celebrity fans such as film director Guy Ritchie, field sports are enjoying a moment of retro cool. Costa Rica has become the first Latin American country to ban hunting as a sport. The country has almost no sport hunting industry, and what there is mainly for puma, but not necessarily dancing with them, as this film shows. An American boy who was shot in the head in a pheasant shooting accident by his father is out of hospital and looking forward to going pheasant shooting once again. Both Ryan Rearick and his father Chris took hunter safety classes 6 years ago. Chris Rearick says he shot his son because he fell over as he was about to take a shot at a bird. And finally, if you're wondering what bait to use if you're after catfish in the south of France, how about a hull pigeon? A school of catfish there have taught themselves how to leap out of the water and catch pigeons to eat. If you're watching this on YouTube, click on the link to see the full film. You are now up to date with Fieldsports Britain news. Stalking the stories, fishing for facts.
Now to a very cold corner of Kent. It's Crowman targeting corvids over corn.
For those that don't know, Andy was abandoned as a baby and raised by pigeons. It's the only way to explain his ability to second-guess their every move, jig and flight line. Today, however, we're testing to see if his formative years allow him to connect with another species, crows, his namesake. But are they his nemesis?
I've been watching this field for, well, since we shot it last week, watching the crows coming back in here. The flight line's been through here continuous for the last 2 days. They really have been hammering this end of the field, but we've set up here. I mean, the only change in the weather today is a lot windier, a lot colder down this end of the field. But what there is coming at the moment is going right and left-handed to us and heading up to the far end of the field where it's a bit more sheltered. Well, I think we'll give it half an hour, and if they carry on going up there, we might be going up there as well.
The corvids are on this field in abundance. A cloud of them lift and swirl in the freezing northeasterly wind, the beast from the east. But as soon as we set up shop, they do one, giving the hide a wide berth. These birds are giving us the bird. Andy doesn't really know why. He had hoped to surprise them as they dropped in from behind, but that isn't happening.
I'm not playing ball today. Still, I'm knocking the pigeons down, so I'm happy. You might not be, but I am.
What's happening to his super pigeon powers? At least Andy is working his magic on his pigeon pals. Frustratingly, there are crows everywhere but here, and the warm sheltered corner is calling. So we do what the textbooks say, up sticks, or poles in this case, and move. Even though it's really cold, it's important to try and reduce the corvid numbers when they build in one place like this. As well as attacking crops or pulling them out in order to get to the grubs in the soil, a healthy population of big black birds will have a most deleterious effect on songbird chicks and game poults. In our new location, things suddenly look more rosy. Out of the wind and in a sun trap, no wonder the birds are heading here. Dom joins us and actually witnesses a miss by Andy. It's a worry for all.
What is the difference between shooting crows and shooting pigeons for you, from your perspective, and why are the crows tricky?
They got such good eyesight, slightest bit of movement and they're gone. I could have done with some full-bodied. I've only got shell crow decoys. I could have done with full-bodied really. They look more realistic. But yeah, they just haven't wanted it. There've been a lot of crows here. They just haven't wanted it.
See, I'm not being funny.
Yeah.
First pigeon that's turned up, you've nailed it.
Yeah, I can hit them. Yeah.
I don't understand.
I can hit pigeons. Anyone can shoot pigeons, can't they? You don't have to be good to hit pigeons. Look at me.
But do they fly in a different way? Is that part of the...
Yeah, like a pigeon hit fly fairly well, straight line, it will jink and dive. But you can follow it with a crow. I was following one just a minute. It come over top quite high, stopped dead in the air, flared and flew backwards. Well, pigeons don't fly backwards.
Yeah.
Eventually, a few crows stop to give us the time of day, and Andy makes no mistakes. Now, those of you with corvid-like eyesight might have noticed that Andy is looking very smart these days, courtesy of Jack Pike, which has given him gear and clothes to try and destroy.
But yeah, it's good stuff, keeps me warm, keeps me dry, does everything I want it to do. They do boots, I've got their boots, don't have any problems with them, they're really lightweight, they are light, keep your feet dry. Wellies are comfortable, everything I've had from them was good. Trousers, these trousers, I love these trousers, I wear them for work. But everything I've got, I have it in green, I wear it, it gets worn every day. It's not wear it on a Saturday and a Sunday when I go shooting, it gets worn every day, so it does get hammered. Like all clothing I get, it all gets hammered, so that's why it's quite nice me having stuff to test. I don't just use it once a month. And another crow coming in, David. I don't use it just once a month, I'm using it all the time. Did you get that?
As the day draws to an end, Andy gets another couple of birds. On inspection against the setting sun, the pellets have really torn through the feathers. In all, we've got a dozen crows and rooks and 9 pigeons. It hasn't been a red letter day, just a challenging one.
Are you bored of burning your beans? Jonny Crockett has all the answers with his custom-made pot hanger.
This is the first stick which is going to be part of a pot hanger that's called a Worgen stick. Now, Worgen was one of the spirits of North America, and this is the stick which holds so much myth and folklore. So we're going to put it together, first of all with our knives, and we're going to point the end of this fork stick like that. Not too sharp so it snaps, just sharp enough. And then this one, drive this one into the ground. In fact, with this honeysuckle, it almost looks as though I'm screwing it into the ground. There we go. So that's the support for our Worgen stick. The second bit that we need to have a look at is the main structure of it. Now, if I put this one on here, it naturally falls. Gravity naturally takes it in this direction. But once I've put some weight on this, it'll swivel around, and so that will become the top. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to mark with my knife, just going to mark where the top is like that. I'm going to put a chisel point on this. And what I'm going to do with this is with the tip of my knife, put it down, put my stick down, and then put a little indentation, just a little one, as if I'm going to perforate it and go all the way through. But I just need that little notch, and you'll find out why that is in a few minutes. So put that one back. This is the next one that I'm going to use, and this is going to go upside down and keep this long stick stationary. Now this is going to hold our pot, and it's going to hold it at various heights. So I'm going to put 3 notches in this one. I'm just left with this little beak here, and that beak, I don't know if you remember, we put this perforation in there, and that just sits in there, so that when there's a bit of weight on it, then it stays like that with the fire underneath. Now that's on simmer mode. So what we need to do is go up to the next notch. There we go. So that's much lower and now closer to the flame. Could do another one. I've got room for one up there, but for this particular pot hanger, I don't need it.
Here's our weekly roundup of all that's interesting online. It's Hunting YouTube.
This is Hunting YouTube, which aims to show the best hunting, shooting and fishing videos that YouTube has to offer. Lots about wild boar this week. This is a cautionary tale sent in by Belgian viewer Michiel de Schrijver and told to us by French channel Philippe Saint-Père. The moral of the story is always make sure your game in the back of your truck is dead. Let's move to a driven wild boar day in Italy with Caccia al Cinghiale Abbattimento by LSV63. To start with, the camera work in this film does not fill you with hope. Then, it just goes to show sometimes the camera can be in the right place at the right time. Now, this is not a very nice video, but Texas is faced with a massive feral hog population. The question is whether machine gunning them from helicopters constitutes good management, let alone good sport. But then, that's the great thing about YouTube. Or should I call it, you judge. Online Fishing TV takes us to Royal D in Aberdeenshire. This is a charming and well-filmed profile of the Glen Tanner estate, where your guide is an engaging gamekeeper who has been on this ground for more than 40 years. Now, who says that life in North Korea is all bad? Here is a film about a fishing competition in the secretive totalitarian state by journalist and broadcaster Alan Hill. He calls it North Korea Angling Competition. He describes it as North Korea angling competition on the river Paedong, and he adds a North Korean one. It looks a lot like a fishing competition anywhere except for the mandatory interview with the party official, but then if the BBC covered match fishing they would do the same. Carlos Castillo HD has produced Bellows in the Mountains. This is not a film about fire lighting equipment, but just his poor English and a promo for what looks like a good DVD about stalking roaring red stags during the rut. Here is a sensitive film from Germany about walked up hare shooting in the snow over a beautifully trained wirehead pointer. It is made by two women who fancy themselves as filmmakers, so yeah, now wipe the lens. It has lots of international appeal. Our appeal to them is to upload the transcript so the rest of the world can click the CC button at the bottom of the screen and understand what's going on. And finally, fans of the grand old sport of hare coursing will be stunned by this version from Parral in central Chile, where the hare gets up, there's lots of whooping and the greyhounds pile in. Book the tickets, David. We're on our way. You can click on any of these films to watch them. If you have a YouTube film you would like us to pop into the weekly top 8, send it in via YouTube or email me the link charlie@fieldsportschannel.tv.
So that's it for this week from snowy Laubach after a fantastic driven hunt. Fieldsports Britain will be back next Wednesday at 7 o'clock.